Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Thlologelo Rampa and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise, your number one DIY relocation platform, meaning that if you are looking to relocate from wherever you are in this world and you're looking to come to Australia or explore other countries that are open to taking immigrants and having them be skilled workers in their countries, you are at the right channel. So do not forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also do the things that people do when they're on this part of town on YouTube. It is much better than you doing it alone, getting lost and discouraged along the way, because yeah, this process will test you. Anyways, you guys, I want to get down to today's business. I'm going to be talking about something that I didn't think I was going to discuss ever, but it is something that has been kind of like popping up in conversations and also sitting down with my husband when we gossip about you guys. When we're talking about people who are looking to relocate and some of the challenges that they are facing, and also some of the immigrants we have been exposed to and the challenges that they've been having, and also our own personal experience, we end up having this conversation. And I thought, hey, maybe I should just bring it here for you guys. Obviously, my husband is very shy, my man, my husband. I don't think he'll ever join me on my channel to ever have a discussion, but I hope one day he will. We obviously have conversations in the house. I'm always the radio anyway. I'm always yapping too much and talking, but he will always kind of like contribute very insightful things, and I'm like, wait, let me write that down. So some of the things that I would present to you guys, they would be his ideas, his words, his brain, and I'll just steal it and bring it here. He's my husband, I have to do that. So today I'm going to be talking about whether relocation would be or could be a bad decision for you. I don't know if it is would be or could be. Would it be yeah, it would be. Could it be? Yeah. Could it be? Would it be a bad decision for you? Okay, so I'm gonna be having that discussion. As I mentioned to you guys, this is purely through conversations that I've been having with people, some of the inboxes that I'm getting, and also my own life experience, as well as some of the things that I've been observing with some of the immigrants that I have had the privilege of being in their space and having discussions with them. It is not easy relocating, guys. Relocation is not an easy thing from the very beginning until the very end, and the very end being until the day you die. Or if you go back to your home country, that would be probably the end of your relocation. But it is not easy. I know with a lot of people, they're thinking, once I've gone through the relocation process and I've done my skills assessment, I've gotten a job, I've submitted my documents, I've gotten my visa, and now I'm on this plane and I'm going wherever, that'll be the end of your worries and the end of your problems. That is not true. I am so sorry, but that is not true. You are going to be stepping into a new challenge. From the minute you leave your home country and you land in your host country, new challenges begin. From the top of my head, some of the challenges you should expect obviously is the currency exchange, you getting used to the new dollar, the new money, and all of that. You also adjusting to a new life, finding accommodation, finding a car, buying groceries, knowing which shops to go to, and all that shebang. Yes, fine, those will be like the challenges of adjusting. But what I found is that a lot of people are on survival mode at that point in time. So you're really purely running on adrenaline and you trying to just, have everything together. Obviously, it is stressful, but when you're on survival mode, you're not really aware of what is going on. So it is only after you have settled and everything is like calm and you've gotten into a new normal and you're like, okay, fine, this will be my life, where now new challenges will come and now you have to deal with them. And it really depends on how you manage them and how you kind of cope around that new situation. So the first thing that I want to highlight to you guys that might be a major, and well, it's obvious, it's going to be a major problem, is you obviously being away from family. That is number one. A lot of people then struggle with being lonely. They struggle with the separation, and it can be very hard and difficult for you to still maintain and manage those relationships once you have relocated. With my own personal experience, I am about 8 hours, 9 hours, depending on which part of Australia I'm at. I'm about 8 hours, 9 hours away from my family back in South Africa, meaning that when I'm sleeping, they're probably awake, and when they're awake, I am probably sleeping. So then family contact time becomes difficult, because again, sometimes people don't understand that when you're calling me, it is 2 a.m., I'm sleeping, I can't take that call. But as time goes, people then start getting used to the time differences and all of that. I don't think my family has gotten used to that. No, they haven't gotten used to that. My friends and family, they have not gotten used to the time differences. They will just call me whenever, and I'm like, child. So one thing that I found to be really helpful for me, especially, I don't know for other people if they have other strategies, and if you do, please comment with those strategies down below. There's always a great opportunity to learn every time. The world is just ever evolving, so you never know what is available for you and what would work. So please comment down below if there are other strategies we could try in order to continue, being connected with our family regardless of the time difference. So what I have done on my phone, I've got 2 clocks, right? I tried to also implement this in my house, and my husband was like, no, because I wanted to have like 2 clocks, right? one being the Australian time and the second one being the South African time, like have them like together so that I can see the time. But my husband was like, no, we are not having it. We are not doing it. I don't know why. I should divorce him. Anyway, what I have done on my phone, I've got 2 clocks. I've got the Australian one and I've got the South African one. And sometimes when I then make friends elsewhere, like I remember there was a time when my friend was in South Korea, so I had also the South Korean time. And then now because I'm famous, I'm on YouTube and I'm talking to people worldwide, I'll then have like a Canadian watch, a UK watch, so I know when to contact the people because now girl is famous, y'all. I mean, I'm talking to people worldwide. I gotta know what's going on. Okay, guys, I'm not joking. No, it's not a joke. It's real. I really do it. Well, I'm not famous yet, but I think I'm so glad and grateful that I have relationships and I'm speaking to people who are in different parts of this world. And I'm thinking to myself, if I had remained in Siyabuswa, that would have never happened. So I'm very grateful for that. To be talking to people who are in different countries, that for me is a privilege and a blessing. So thank you so much for that, you guys. Obviously with my husband, he's smarter. He's the doctor of the house. I mean, he's not a doctor by mistake. So he would always tell me, no, you just add or minus 4 hours. Whatever time it is, just add or minus 4 hours. And I'm like, I don't understand that. Like my brain doesn't function like that. Me, I'm like, child, I'm too slow for that. Please don't confuse me. I need to see the time. So I'll look at my clocks. So we have obviously been struggling to still keep connected with our family members back home. Also because now, mind you, it is the 2 of us. We've got his side of the family and we've got my side of the family. And with my side of the family, it's split. It's my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. It's kind of like this whole huge dynamic because I've got a big family. And also on top of that, mind you, we are away, meaning that we've got about 15, 16, 20 people to contact, which can be very hard. I'm so glad that we are born in an age, I always say this, I'm so happy 100% that we are born in an age where keeping contact with family is much more easier than what it was in the olden days. We don't need to do phone calls on a regular basis. I can always just keep you updated on what is going on with my life through my social media platforms, and that's why I'm very active. So sometimes I'm like, you know what, I need a break from this thing, so I'll keep quiet. And now they start sending messages, are you okay, are you fine? I'm like, I'm fine. Now I'm tired. One of the things that me and my husband have discussed and we are trying to do, although it is so hard because for the past 2-3 years we have been really struggling with family contact, but what we decided to do this year was that, okay, fine, we are going to set aside time over the weekend. I have set an alarm on my phone to say, okay, fine, it is family contact time. So we have set aside about 2 hours to then have family contact time. We will do video calls or we'll share videos and share voice notes and all of that. So we'll have like a hit list where it's like, okay, fine, these are like the top 5 people where we know if you have spoken to them, it is fine. So obviously our parents and also like our siblings, cousins and all of that situation. But then with other people, especially those who are on social media and it is easy to connect with them, we can always message and talk to each other throughout the week, so it is okay. But that is going to be very hard because obviously you're trying to manage your new life here and you're still trying to keep connected with them and keep abreast with everything that is going on. But yeah, it is going to be difficult. The other thing that I will highlight to you guys, I'll have a discussion about it maybe later, it's the network provider that you'll be choosing when you come to Australia. There are some network providers where they do not have special offers for people who are immigrants. We were so lucky when we came to Australia. The mobile network that we're using, they were offering free international calls to a wide range of countries, and South Africa happened to be one of them. So we have unlimited calls back home, which is amazing, which is great. And I think that deal is no longer there, but we still have access to that service. But people who are now joining that mobile provider, they don't have that service anymore. So you have to kind of like buy airtime and all of that to call your family. It is not too expensive, but one thing that I will say to you guys, just in case it is something that you worry about, instead of you doing phone calls, you can always do things like your FaceTime, your WhatsApp calls, your Instagram calls, Facebook calls, because then they would be using the Wi-Fi and mobile data. So then you will not have to worry about airtime, like calling people. And Australia is one of those countries that don't really use airtime. Their system is so different to ours in South Africa because they call it phone credit and all of that. So it's like, yeah, okay, fine, airtime. But Wi-Fi here is much more cheaper and very accessible. You literally go everywhere and you have access to Wi-Fi. For people who have relatives in the village, obviously that might be a bit of a problem because of network issues and all of that. But always try to find something that's going to work for you guys, even if it means you changing service providers, okay? The other thing that I realized is that people get homesick. People really do get homesick, and it is a normal thing. Me and my husband, we have not gotten homesick. I mean, it's been 3 years and we always have this conversation to say, okay, do you want to go home this year? My husband was like, and I'm like, nah, me too. Let's wait 2 more years. And I'm thinking maybe it is because we've got each other and we've got our own little family here, so it is okay. Maybe if we didn't and he relocated alone and I was alone and we were separated or not together or whatever the situation was, maybe I would have. I'd never. No, I don't know about him, but not me. I don't think I would have been homesick. I don't really miss much about where I come from. Like, I'm just okay. Like, I'm just like, y'all can live your lives. I'm living mine. I love you still. I don't even know how I would identify if I was homesick. I don't know. I don't know what the feeling would be like, because I don't think I've ever been homesick and I don't think I will be homesick. Yes, we want you guys to miss us so that by the time we come, you are very excited to see us. And we must be there for 2-3 days. Before we start annoying each other, we are gone. But yes, there are some people who really do get homesick. And I'm thinking that it is probably people who have deep connections with their family. There are some people where the relation is not that deep, so it is okay. But there are some people where they have really deep ties with their family, and it is very difficult for them to let go of that part, or put it on hold, or whatever the situation is. But yeah, there are some people who really do miss home, and I think most of the people who would then also be missing home are people who then relocated alone. But not only that, you guys, because also you find that people who are in a union, people who are married, you might find that, for example, let's say with me, I'm not maybe too connected with my family, where I'm like, okay, no, it's fine, I can live without them, it is okay. And you find that maybe with my partner, my husband, he's really connected and he's very close with his family. You'll obviously not be experiencing this at the same magnitude. The other one might be fine, might be okay with the new life, and the other one is not okay with the new life, and that might also cause friction in your relationship. For me, my advice is, if you can see that your partner, let's say for example, you are that one who's like, okay, nah, I'm chilled, I'm okay, and you can see that your partner is struggling and your partner is homesick, and it doesn't mean that they don't want to be with you or the family, or they're not happy and satisfied with you and the family, but they are really affected because they have lost or feel like they're losing a part of themselves and that connection. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier, to say, be intentional about the contact that you're having with your family, and also try to help that person to get out of that dark space. Obviously, you cannot get them out of that dark space. They are the ones who need to do the work to get themselves out of that dark space. But you can always try to find strategies that help them or aid them to say, hey, you're not experiencing this thing alone. I'm in solidarity with you. I really do understand that it is difficult for you, and this is what we can do to kind of work around it. You can always try to explore money saving strategies in order to then bring family to visit, or then you guys can go to visit. I think it is actually more cheaper and wiser to have family visit you, because it's you buying those flight tickets for them to come here. You can still continue working. I know that there are some family visas that can go up to a year. So let's say for example, your parents are retired, or they're able to take like a year off work, and then you can have them take that leave and they can come live with you for about a year to kind of get you settled in and getting you used to the new normal and that support, hopefully, if your family is supporting your relocation. So there are strategies that you can put in place to work around you being homesick, but do make sure that you are always connected with your family. The other thing that can contribute to relocating being a bad decision for you is you losing some friends, okay? You are going to lose some friendships. There are going to be some distance between you and loved ones. It is bound to happen. It is going to happen. I honestly do believe that relocation tests the relationships that you have. And sometimes you have toxic relationships and you're not even aware. And it is only after the distance where you realize, Lo, Satani. Did not need this one in my life, but you were holding on to the relationship because I've known this person for 15 years, we've been together, or we've been friends since primary and all of that, and only to realize after the distance to say, this one actually did not have the best intentions for me. And that would then be a good scenario, a good outcome. But there are some people who really are connected and have good friendships and have built really good relationships with people, and sometimes that might get affected. It does not have to get affected, but it might get affected. Again, it goes back to what? You having those contact times and really being intentional about them to say, okay, fine, I really want to connect with these people. And it also depends on your love language with your friends and how strong your friendship is, because that will honestly determine how you guys transition into this new life. And even after you have relocated, that does not mean it has to be the end of friendships and the end of it all. You really have to put in the work to make the relationship work. But if you can see that it is not reciprocated, let that satani go. It's okay. Yeah, satana hande. Yeah. Okay, I'm joking. But then I serious, man. It's okay. You'll make new friends wherever you're going and you'll be fine. Making friends as an adult is much more difficult. It is harder than when you are younger. I think when you're younger, you are more lenient and you're trying to figure it out with somebody. So it's easy to have that friendship and you'll figure it out along the way. But when you're older, you are set to say, I don't want this. I don't know with other people. But with me, where I am in my life, I'm very selective with the people that I want in my circle. And I'm very selective with the friends that I want to make at this point in time. If I'm going to be making new friends, I look at things like, okay, fine, what do you want in life? Where are you going in life? Because I don't want people who are going to drag me down. No. I don't want people who are going to drag me into spaces that I do not want to be in. Because in all honesty, if you look at yourself right now and you see the friends that are around you and you're not happy with it, you really have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, fine. What is it that I am putting out there that is attracting such people in my life? And sometimes you're not aware that you're putting out that energy, but the minute you realize that, you know what, look at me. All the people in my life, all they ever do is either want to chill with me only on weekends so that we can go drink and do snacks things. And then Monday comes, they are gone. They'll come back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, they are gone. We don't talk anything growth. We don't support each other mentally. We don't do anything to help each other out. And if I was in a desperate situation, they will not even be there for me. Why I still hang around those people? So it is okay for you to clear your table. And I believe also relocating helps you to clear your table. Where you say, you know what, I'd rather sit on this table on my own, alone. And the people who come in, I want to see what you come carrying in your plate. If you're carrying negativity, gossip, and you trying to bring other people down and you think you're going to want to sit on my table, child, no. And you start being selective about the people that you want around you, and you start building fences and having clear boundaries to say, I'm not going to have these type of people in my life. I only want people who are going to grow me and I'm going to be able to grow them. And I know that when I'm going to need them, they're going to be there for me and it's going to be unconditional. The other thing, do not be desperate for friendships and human connection, because there are some people who can smell desperate from afar. When they can see, oh, this one is desperate, they will make sure that they reel you in. Papara, you are sitting in a pit toilet, and that time you've been sitting there for so long where the thing that is inside the pit toilet doesn't even smell like the pit toilet anymore. So be careful of the aura you have around you and your internal self, your inner being, because that is what you bring out, whether it is intentional or not intentional. And people around you will either gravitate towards that or they will repel because of that. So be very careful of where you are spiritually, mentally, and all of that, to avoid getting into horrible friendships just because you're desperate and looking for human connection. Another thing that can contribute to relocating being a bad decision for you is if you have horrible money spending habits. If you do not know how to manage your money, your money, your dollar, your finances, you're going to have trouble. Okay, the reason why I say that, obviously when you're in a first world country, yes, the wages might be higher, it might be good money, especially when you're converting into the rand, but you have to understand that sometimes also the cost of living is high and you need to adjust and adapt to that. Don't make horrible money decisions because uzozisola. You don't want to get into debt in a first world countries because it is in dollars. If you cannot afford something, you leave it. It is not yours. Don't get into debt just because you want to show people that you are living in Australia and you are high and mighty and now you are living a soft life. One thing that I will tell you guys, listen to me. You see, the first 1-2 years of you relocating, you're going to be poor. You're going to be very poor. You're going to be even poorer than you were when you were back home because you're going to downgrade. You're going to have to downgrade. So if you were living in a house with a swimming pool, it was all nice, high fence and everything like that, you might have to downgrade that. And if you're also driving a fancy car, a Mercedes-Benz, BMW, all the type of thing, wherever you were living, you might come here and start by driving a skurukuru. So don't force yourself into getting into debt because you want to show people that, no, I can still maintain the lifestyle that I was living wherever in this new country. That might not be the case for you. So some people do get depressed about it. They do get depressed about the downgrade and all of that. But let me tell you, if you are honest with yourself and you are kind to yourself and you allow yourself to be poor for that 1-2 years, by the time things pick up for you, you realize that actually you have advanced 10 times more than you would have back home. When we relocated, we had a house back in South Africa that we were not paying for. My husband had belted. We were not owing the bank. We were not owing anyone, okay? We had 2 cars. I was driving a Polo. He was driving a Ford Ranger. We had a house that had a swimming pool, even though it was in the village. We were living a good life, a life that we wanted. When we came to Australia, We had to downgrade. For reals, for real. One day I will show you the cars that we were driving when we initially came to Australia. You will not believe it. We also had to downgrade the houses that we were living in. But me and my husband were very intentional about it. I said to my husband, listen, I'm not going to rent a house that is expensive, that is fancy smancy, just to pay for somebody else's mortgage. No, I'm not going to do that. We are going to look for a house that is raggedy and old. And that house is the house that is going to help us save money and force us to buying the house of our dreams. And in all honesty, that is what happened. I'm so glad that I married a man that is my husband. It is easy to struggle with him knowing that, you know what, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. But there's some people who are like, no, I'm not going to compromise. I still want to live in a nice schmick house and drive an expensive car. Child, listen to me. That might not be your reality the first 1-2 years of you relocating. But how you catch up is highly dependent on the decisions that you make initially when you land in that country. Do not make horrible financial decisions because you want to show your friends or whoever back home that you are living this nice fake life full of debt. Don't do that. I remember when we left South Africa, there was a friend of mine who always wanted to see the houses that we were living in. So we only had 2 houses that we rented. We rented a house in New South Wales in Grafton and also here in Harvey Bay when we initially arrived before we bought our house. So she would want to see pictures of those houses and the cars that we were driving, and I would take pictures of them, and she was like, why does it look like we have left South Africa to go struggle? And for me, I was like, I don't see a problem with this. Like, we are still adjusting. So I think maybe in her head, she was like, I shame these ones, poor RMS capsules. When I bought my house, she disappeared. Gone. Satan waham. So you need to let go of the fantasy that you're going to come here and then everything is going to be smooth sailing in the beginning. Adjusting is very hard. I have made a video discussing it. It is going to be very difficult for you to adjust to the new life. But once you get into the groove of things, one day you're going to sit down and be like, oh my God, I'm living in my dream house. I'm driving my dream car. I'm doing what I love. I'm earning good money. I can actually even travel the world because I can save up money. And when you save up money, you can see that, yeah, this is money. This is real savings. These are real savings, because you wouldn't have been able to save the same amount of money if you were still wherever you are doing the same job that you're doing here. But when you look at your progression, you are progressing at a faster rate. So if you have bad financial decision making, go talk to someone as soon as you can so that you fix that problem of yours and you don't bring it here, because it is going to be very hard for you. I am pro saving. I always believe in saving money because, again, black tax is a real thing. I'm from the village. We still have to take care of our family. We also have to take care of ourselves. So we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where something is really needed and we do not have the money to do so. Okay? Another thing that can also contribute to relocating being a bad decision for you, and this goes back to when I started my YouTube channel. Okay guys, when I started this YouTube channel, obviously after my first video, my second video was me explaining why I left South Africa. You need to be very clear on your why, because if you know why you are leaving and why you want to relocate, that story is what is going to fuel your relocation journey from the beginning until the very end. When you're settling here and also when you're homesick or whatever the situation is, your story will always remind you why you had to relocate. So be very clear on why you want to relocate. Don't just do it because people are doing it. There's this girl on YouTube that is telling people you relocate, good to Bamnan, it's gonna be lit. No, do it because it is something that is beating deep benekant baby within. It is something that you really do want, and you are not going to even discuss it or negotiate it with anyone. It is something that is your decision, and you know that uzoimela leyo decision. You will stand for that decision and you will stand firm in that decision. So know your why, because if you are undecided and you have one foot in here, one foot in there, it is going to be very hard for you to adjust. It is going to be very hard for you to settle, and it is going to be very hard for you to be happy when you come here. There are some people that have relocated, and within 2-3 months, after going through this whole process and spending so much money to relocate, 2-3 months later, the person is on a flight back home. Because I don't know who told them that they're going to come here, find milk, honey, and marshmallow. It is very hard. People work here, and nobody's going to care about you like that. So you need to make sure that you care about you fully 100%. So you find that this person then goes back home after 3 months. When they get there, they remember, oh, this is why I actually wanted to leave. Now they are back in the country. 5 months later, they still cannot manage. They go back to their home country. And now people are like, oh, Shem, Thlologelo, happy. You were saying goodbye at the airport. Now look, you are back. You don't want to be that person. But then again, you don't want to be that person who relocates, come to this country, you're not happy and you're too embarrassed and too shy to go back home because it is very hard for you here. So be sure, 100%, be sure with your decision and be firm with that decision so that you're not up and down. The risk with you being up and up is this. Let's say, for example, you got a TSS visa and your employer is the one that paid for your flights, your visa, and everything. You're obviously bounded by a contract, meaning that you would have to pay back the employer if you're then going to be leaving that job because you'll be breaking the terms of the contract. So let's say, fine, for example, you manage to get out of your contract, you pay them back that money, now you're paying your own flight tickets to go back to South Africa. You get there, you find another employer who does a TSS visa for you, you come back here, you spend 5 months, you go back. I don't think that is going to be a good reputation, especially if you're going to want to be doing this a lot of times and employers are like, okay, the first time you came here, the second time you came here, why didn't you stay? And you're like, oh, I was missing home. You think they're going to hire you? You're not serious. You cannot make a decision and stand by it. You don't have to relocate forever. You do not have to relocate forever. 5 years, 10 years. Save your money, set you up good, and then you can always go back home. Relocating is not a decision that you have to make for the rest of your life. You can always go back home. But do not come here undecided, 1 foot in here, 1 foot in there. Come to Australia fully. Mind, body, spirit, everything, ancestors, drag them here. You come here with yourself fully 100%. Make that decision, stand by it, because it can be very costly and damaging for you to be up and off. Do not do that. Another thing that can contribute to relocating being a bad decision for you is if you have unfinished business. Unfinished business can be anything really. Let's say, for example, you still have assets back home, or you have businesses, or you have things that were kind of like, that were kind of like all up in the air when you left. My advice is handle your things before you come here, because it can be very costly and very expensive if you do not do that. Lesson learned from me. When we were trying to sell our house back home and we were in Australia, we had to spend so much money to do that. Lesson learned, and I've educated you guys about it. Do not be like us. Handle your affairs before you come here. Seek legal advice if you need to seek legal advice. It will be expensive sometimes, but that's how the game is played and you just gotta play it. Just make sure that you make good decisions. You seek advice if you need to, and always find ways to work around your situation. And lastly, your mental health. Some people really do struggle after they've relocated with their mental health. There are a lot of people, I've met a lot of people who are immigrants that are struggling with their mental health. I don't know if it is Australia, because Australia is just so far away from everybody. Like, we're just far away from everybody and everything, which makes it very hard for you to still, keep connected with the outside world. It's not like other countries where you can be all out and about. There are some people where you can live in one country, work in another country, go to school in a different country, and all of that is a car ride or a train ride. And I'm like, just like that? How does it work? But I'm thinking maybe it's like your Swaziland, Botswana, Lesotho. I don't know how it works. But there's some countries, I think your European countries, where you can literally be in a lot of countries in a short space of time. Unlike here in Australia, you traveling outside of this continent is a serious trip. It is a real trip. So a lot of people struggle with their mental health. I thought it was an Australian thing because a lot of Australians struggle with their mental health. But I think everyone worldwide is struggling with their mental health. The thing that I've realized, having communications with people who are immigrants, but living in other countries like China, Canada, UK, whatever, I've realized that they also struggle with their mental health. You will struggle with your mental health. That is why it is very important for you to take care of yourself when you are an immigrant. The reason why I'm emphasizing this is because if you are an immigrant, you have a very small circle of people. And for some people, they might not even have a circle of people if they struggle to make friendships or connect with an outside world. So you'll be struggling all alone. And obviously, it is going to be very hard for you to get out there to do your work and to now also establish those relationships and those friendships. I remember there was this one time, I think it was our first trip to Harvey Bay, and we were walking on the pier, and this guy came, and you could see that he was out of it. Like, he was reeking of alcohol. He was so drunk. And he came to us, my husband and the girls, and he wanted to like have a conversation with us. Well, me being promised, I did have that conversation with him. So we had a conversation about who he was and where he's from, and we told him, oh yeah, we also immigrants, because he was an immigrant. And he was explaining to us that it is so hard for him because he doesn't have children. I think he said he was an engineer. He did not have children. He did not have a partner. He was somewhere in his late 40s or 50s, if I'm not mistaken. He was talking about how beautiful the country is and all of that, but how much he was struggling because he did not have anyone. And he was telling us, you guys are so lucky because you've got each other. And he was so drunk, like literally almost like falling over. And my heart just broke when I saw him, because I was like, wow, this person is really lonely. Because it also explained that he had been in Australia for a number of years. He had the accent on his tongue, so you could tell that, okay, fine, he's not Australian, but you could see that this person is really struggling. So you don't want to find yourself in a similar position. I don't think anyone would wish to be in a similar position. That's why I'm saying take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, because you don't want to be an immigrant, struggle with your mental health, not seek help, and end up in a situation similar to that. Mental health is a serious issue. Whether you're an immigrant or you are at home, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to find refuge in something that is positive and productive, something that speaks to you and who you are. And if you have mental health issues prior to you relocating, make sure that you get on top of it. If you need to get medication, do so. If you need a mental health plan, make sure that you get one sorted. Don't be embarrassed, don't be shy about it. And if you did not realize that you had mental health issues prior to you leaving your home country, when you get here and you realize that, you know what, I'm really struggling, be open about it, seek help, don't suffer alone, and there's always help out there, okay? I'm hoping that this discussion has helped you with either deciding to relocate or not relocate at all. And with whatever decision that you have made, please stick with it so that 10 years later you don't regret either relocating or not relocating. It is okay for you to try out something new, to challenge yourself and see what is out there, but always be true to yourself, have honest conversations, and always take care of yourself. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again in my next upload.